Good morning, friends. Glad you're here for our, what number annual meeting do you think this is? 69th, I think? Yeah, 1953 is when we were founded, so assuming we've had one every year, can anyone remember a year where we didn't have an annual meeting? All right, so welcome to the 69th annual meeting of the Church of the Ascension Vestavia Hills. We are going to open with a hymn, The Church is One Foundation, which is found on what page, Mike?
525.
525. How many verses are there? I'll make that your choice.
Let's just do the first to last.
What number is it again? I can't remember.
525.
525. First and last. Be seated. I'm going to ask Reverend Jane Ellis to come open us with prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel in this annual parish meeting for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Jane. Again, welcome. So glad you're here. I want to welcome those who might be joining us on our YouTube channel. Glad that you can be with us in that way. Grateful for our AV Guild and their continued commitment to make sure that our worship is streamed each and every Sunday. I know that's a huge outreach for a lot of folks, not only in our parish, but also outside of our parish. I heard of a family went church shopping via YouTube before they actually came to the church. So that's sort of a new dimension of church shopping. And so our investment in high quality equipment has certainly paid off in that respect. So everyone, if you came in this door over here, you should have received an annual report. And if you have made a pledge for 2022, you also received an update on where you are with your pledge. If you don't pledge but you give, all other contributions will be included on a year-end report that you'll get in January, or you can go ahead and check your Realm app if you need to do that as well. And if you're online, you can see our annual report as well as our financial report using a link in the comment section or the description section of the YouTube channel. The financial report, I lied, did not make it to the link, but we will have that available for you digitally shortly. Okay, and our treasurer will give a report here in a minute. That being said, we're going to move on to a business item or two. The first being vestry elections. I'm going to ask our senior warden, and now you have me worried about how to say your name, Brizendine. Okay, not Dean. Brizendine to come and lead us in that process. Thank you.
I figure out how close. Yeah, I need to be closer to that.
Well, it's mainly for the viewers online.
Well, I want them to be able to hear.
Okay.
They're part of this too. Oh, okay. Okay. Now I have to hold it. Good morning, y'all. We've had an incredibly wonderful vestry over the past 3 years, and especially this year. We also are lucky in that we have 4 nominees for 4 spots. So I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I think we may be able to streamline this process a little bit. So before we get to sort of the bulk of elections, I want to acknowledge those of us who are rolling off the vestry because it has been a long and busy and growth-filled 3 years, and we have been very active in hopefully leaving behind for the continuing vestry something that makes sense and something that will continue going on well. So Jim Loop has been our finance chair for all 3 years? 3 years? Jim Loop, who has been our finance chair. Holly Getchie, who's our junior warden, the true brains behind the operation. Myself as senior warden, and then Jim Buspin, I saw you. Hi, Jim. For the past 11 months has filled in for a vestry member who had to roll off.
11 months.
11 months. I said 11 months?
Okay. I don't know.
11 months, which is important as we get into the nitty-gritty and the Robert's Rules of Order and bylaws and things like that, as I introduce our new vestry nominees. So if you'll stand...
But before that, we're going to give the outgoing vestry members a round of applause. I'm going to make you give yourself... you make a big commitment to serving in the church, and I don't take that lightly, so grateful. You could be doing a lot of other things with your time and energy. I'm grateful that you've chosen to do that as a part of your discipleship and ministry here at Ascension. So grateful for y'all, but you're not, just because you're off the vestry doesn't mean you're off the hook necessarily. So
I'm going to take a little break.
Maybe a little sabbatical, yes, 6 months. Now you may resume.
Okay, so this is how it's going to roll. We're going to talk about our nominees. I'm going to have y'all stand up, wave. I'm really going to try to pronounce your names correctly. We'll have a moment of prayer and reflection. We will open up for any additional nominees. I might do that out of order because I've forgotten what order I said it in already. And then we will do our important... Yes, ma'am. Can I turn up the volume? Is that better? If I just... There we go. I'll just put it in my face. I'll talk into the microphone. That will work. You can tell I really prepared. Thank you. So for our nominees, we first have Andrew Alt, who is a relatively new member who has jumped in with all feet. So thank you, Andrew, for stepping up. Jim Buspin, who, because he has been on the vestry for 11 months and not a full year, does not have to wait the year washout period before serving another 3 years. So Jim, wave again. Thank you so much. Christopher Lambert, I saw you. It's somewhere. There you are. Hi, Christopher. Thank you so much. And then Tom Ogiba. Thank you so much for being here. So these are our 4 nominees. Look at them, read about them, take a moment. And if you will take a moment, we're going to do just a brief prayer for a vestry election. We'll open it up for additional nominees after that. So let us pray. Almighty God, giver of every good gift, look graciously on your church, and so guide the minds of those who shall choose vestry members for this parish, that we may receive faithful leaders who will care for your people and equip us for our ministries, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. So before we vote, are there any additional nominees that people would like to nominate from the floor? Would anyone like to make a motion? We have a motion to adopt by acclamation. Are there any objections? And we have a second for good measure. Are Are there any objections? We have elected our new vestry for the next 3 years. Thank you all. Is that it?
Yeah, you're good. Thank you so much. And I also want to ask the people who are also serving, continuing to serve, to stand if you're here. I think Anna Colvin might still be outside. No, she's here. Leslie Sharble, Susan Phillips, stand as I call your name. Dana Porter, Martin Horner, Kelly Sorrell. Brian Denton will be rejoining us at the end of the year. He's been on staff helping us with some of our website realm stuff, but he will resume his volunteer role on the vestry in the new year. So grateful for all your continued service as well. Yes. Hi, welcome. Is that all I was going to say? Okay, now is it my time? No, it's the treasurer's time. Mr. Treasurer. That's what I was going to say. They're not officially on the vestry, but they work with the vestry. Lynn Skelton's been our treasurer for how many years? 8, 10? Done a great job. And then Ann Nelson serves. You're doing a great job. That's why no one else wants it. And then Ann Nelson serves as our clerk. I think this is her second or third year. So thank you all for your commitment.
No, I don't need to hold. I don't think I will need it. I think my voice is deep enough.
I would suggest you use that because otherwise anyone on the screen will not be able to hear you. Well, it's still on. It's pretty dry. I'll raise the height.
All right, good. Okay. I have a feeling they'll be able to hear me. Everybody's got a report. It is only through November. Obviously, we don't have December yet, which is always our biggest month. But for the first 11 months of the year, it's pretty good so far. Starting at the top, revenue. Pledge revenue, $460,000 versus $455 budget. So we're right on the numbers, which is great. Other income is higher, 137 versus 108. So we're at 597,000, almost 598,000 revenue year to date versus what we had budgeted of 563. So that's really good. Our disbursements are a little below. And you can see outreach is a little low, and we'll catch that up. We generally catch that up in December. But our total disbursements of 578 versus 586. Little, we're under control. And a surplus year to date, 19,286 versus a $23,000 deficit budgeted. So that's pretty positive. And December is always our best month. We've got 84,000 budgeted income, which is by far the biggest month of the year. Last year we took in 82,000 in December, so we're hoping that and we'll have a nice surplus in December because of that. So at the moment, good news. And if you look at year to date, this year versus the last two, gives you a good comparison. You can see how our revenue has grown. 2 years ago, 2020, it was at 485, and then 540 last year, 597 so far this year. So it shows we are growing. We're doing fine. Disbursements are growing as well, as you would expect. We got more programs. We're doing more things. So you can see how the disbursements have gone. And the surplus, in 2020, we had a negative 26,000, and in that year, I think we finished at a minus 5,000 for the year. Last year we had 11,000 profit at this point, and we finished about 24,000 to the good for the year. So we're hoping with 19,000 as a surplus now, we'll have a really, really nice looking year. And the last section is the full budget for this year, not the 11-month, but the full 12-month budget. And you see we have a basically balanced budget where the revenue and disbursements are roughly the same, 648 versus 647. So hopefully, we should hit that. If we have a December that's like normal, we should surpass the revenue side at least. Second page on the back. We have investment accounts at Wells Fargo. We have a general fund account, and we have money that was part of the memorial fund, and we put half of it to work years ago, just so it wouldn't be sitting in cash. Now, a note here. You can see at the end of last year, the general fund was at $376,000, and now it's at $315,000. Everybody knows the market is down, but it's not down that much. We had our heating and air conditioning system gave up the ghost. Can you say that in church? And so, you know, that's roughly $40,000 that we had to spend, and we sold funds out of the general fund. We sold investments to do that at this point, rather than to go out and try to raise the money somehow, or set up something like that. So the 315, that's not all market. That's a lot of it is the 40,000 that came out. The memorial fund, you can see that shows you more the effect of the market, because there's been no changes there. It went from 15.4 to 14.6. We have a line of credit with First Horizon, $200,000. We opened it in 2014 when we redid the kitchen and a lot of work. Had a large capital campaign. The $200,000 is secured by our investment account at Wells Fargo, and the 3.5% is still in effect. We've had that rate ever since we started. Never has changed, which is good. It's really looking good right now. Now, a note about the loan balance. You'll see that we've got two loan balances: general fund and building fund. The building fund is where we originally borrowed all the money to do building work, the original capital campaign, and then three years ago, something like that, we spent another $70,000 or $80,000 doing upgrades, and that borrowing was done in excess of what donations we received. The general fund, as it has excess cash, we will pay it down. We'll pay down the loan. We don't want it sitting in cash, and we pay down the loan, and that saves us interest. And so you can see at the end of 2021, our net borrowing was $90,000. 181 for the building fund, and a minus 91 for the general fund, meaning the general fund had put $91,000 of cash, excess cash, against a loan to lower the balance and lower our interest. And now this year we're borrowed $155,000, and the general fund has only a minus $30,000. So it looks like we've spent a lot of money and had to borrow a lot, but there's a $50,000 number in there. Last year we got a $50,000 insurance payment at the end of the year for damage to the building. We deposited that. We paid the loan down. No use leaving it in cash. Paid the loan down. So that's why the balance, dropped. This year we did all the work. We wrote the check. We had to take the $50,000 back out of the loan. So it looks like we've borrowed way more than we really have. There's a $50,000 number in there. So we've maybe borrowed $15,000 more than we had at the end of the year, because we've done a lot of stuff, a lot of off-balance sheet stuff. So no problem there that I know of. And in the memorial fund, the last item is we've had a memorial fund for a long time. We use it on occasion for good asset building things around here. We put part of it in investments years ago, and the rest stays in cash, and you can see that it's basically unchanged. We've used a little bit this year, but not much. So we've got $26,593 available. So if we wanted to spend $26,000, we could just close out the investment account and bring that back in. So that is the state of the parish at this moment, which I would say is pretty good. Pretty good. Any questions? Any thoughts? Are you clapping for me? I did all this. Yeah, right. I had very little to do with all this. I just do the numbers. Any questions? Anything confusing? Did I clear up? You understand? Okay, good. I think,
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Okay.
As he mentioned, maybe you didn't mention, we're in a new accounting software.
oh, yeah.
Well, Realm is our new software for everything, and a part of that is accounting. So by the end of the year, I think we'll have everything cleaned up. Daniel Coleman's been working with us since June to get everything caught up. So we're almost there. So if you look at your pledge statement today and have a few questions, just let us know so we can make sure to address it.
Because you can do that online. You can look up your.
Yeah, and you can go on your app as well to look at.
Very interesting. Realm is very different from Power Chart.
Yes,
which we used to use.
it is.
So we changed systems and then we changed accountants. And so all of that has been very interesting this year. But
Yep.
we're almost there.
We're almost there. So thank you so much, Lynn. In your, yeah. Lynn enjoys numbers and spreadsheets, so he gets joy out of this. So grateful for that. If you look in your bound annual report, you'll see some giving trends. I think that's always an interesting note to look at. I think it's right after the rector's report. I'm not going to go through it, but you can sort of see how we've grown in pledging units and budgets and all that kind of stuff over the years. I will refer to it here in just a minute in my report, my spoken report, which is very different than my written report. So anyway, just note that. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the continued opportunity to serve as your rector. I think we're starting our 5th year now, which is really hard to believe. Grateful for this opportunity. Don't take it for granted. Say prayers of thanksgiving often. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve you in this way. This year, I especially want to thank our staff, especially the Reverend Jane Ellis, who served us here nearly 7 years. I don't know when your start date was, but around 7 years. As you've seen from me in the last few weeks, her time with us will conclude at the end of January 29th. We'll have a reception to celebrate her wonderful and fruitful ministry here among us. So I want to say in front of all of you how tremendous of a support she's been to me and our ministry here ever since I got here. So we'll have plenty of time to say goodbye, or not really bye. We're just going to go our separate ways, continuing in the work of ministry. She's not going to go far, I don't think. No. And so anyway, just wanted to thank her and thank all of our staff for all that you do to go above and beyond in service of the church. I want to thank the vestry and the congregation for your presence here today. Means a great deal of support for me and for all that we're trying to do here to make Christ known by our love for all. And as I think about what my job is as your rector, I think it can really just be narrowed down to making sure that there is space for the gospel to be known and made known. Making sure that there is space for the gospel to be known and made known. And that looks different, and that has 3 different areas, I think. Part of that is worship and formational resources. A part of that is our program and ministries, and a part of that is building and grounds. Those are the 3 ways that I see how I am charged with making space for the gospel to be known and made known. Worship and formational resources, fed by the riches of God's grace. Sacramental ministry, baptism, Eucharist. A part of that involves me and Jane and others going out into the community to bring the sacrament to those who are homebound. Program and ministries, making sure we have staff and volunteers to do what we say we want to do. Building and grounds, to make sure we have attractive, functional, adequate space for people to come and to hear the word and be inspired to go out and love and serve the Lord. So that's what I see my primary job is, to ensure that we have space for the gospel to be known and made known. What are some of the challenges that come with that? I think for starters, as we grow as a staff, finding places for them to go in terms of office space. Our parish life coordinator, Kathy, is in our sunshine room. When Jane's not here, she sneaks into her office. And we have our Children's Formation Director, Amanda, has a little cubicle in one of our Children's Formation rooms. So we have some space limitations. So that's something that is a challenge. We're making it work, thankfully. Earlier this year, we had 2 adult formation classes going on at one time, which was great. But the second class met in a preschool room. Thankfully, we brought in bigger chairs. So I'm just sort of giving you an idea of some of the challenge we're facing with our space. And speaking of space, building and grounds upkeep, we have a beautiful campus. We have a large campus. We have beautiful buildings. And keeping up with that, costs money. About 25% of our annual budget goes towards everything to do with building and grounds, which is about $150,000 a year. We've talked a little bit about how legacy gifts or endowed pledges might be able to help take some of the financial burden off of funding building and grounds from year to year. We've encouraged people to think about writing Ascension into your will so that, if we do have, let's just say, a $3 million endowment, then $150 a year would go straight to building and grounds. And so all of our pledged dollars could focus on ministry in mission. So something to sort of think about. We're going to keep talking about that. Also, as we grow in numbers, there's an increased demand for ministry. We have volunteers who are going above and beyond. We have staff going above and beyond. So we continue to grow as a staff to help accommodate this growth. And I think that's another way that we make space or ensure that there is space for ministry, for the gospel to be made known and known, is that we have staff to sort of help that come true, help these dreams come to life. I know I've mentioned it in a letter a couple weeks ago to the parish, but one of the things that we're hoping to do soon is hire a second full-time priest to serve on staff. I envision this person would oversee Christian formation for all ages, adults, youth, and children. They would, of course, share in the teaching and preaching and pastoral care. They would help grow our visibility in the community and other opportunities to serve. They would help in a lot of other ways, but that's sort of generally how I see them serving. A few members of our vestry have already interviewed with a candidate that we're excited about, so keep that in your prayers as we move forward together. Also, we have a few staff transitions. Brian and Chris came on to help us sort of in a part-time role in an intermediate way with communications and realm and whatnot, and they've done a fantastic job. But they'll roll off the payroll at the end of the year and get to serve as regular volunteers of the church. And we're looking into ways to help with communications and realm management. There's a lot of movement towards virtual assistants these days. We've learned during COVID that you don't have to have staff on site to do a lot of this work. So, and they're, for a lack of a better word, cheaper or less expensive than a body in the office. So we're looking into some of those opportunities. Ministry architects, we're continuing to renovate and revamp the systems that support our children and youth programs. There's some more information in your annual report on what that has looked like. One of the last things that we're going to do with them is come up with a strategic staffing plan to help us make space for this growth. Again, so how do we pay for all this? Well, y'all are doing a great job, as Lynn said. Your increased commitment to stewardship, pledge commitments, I've put that in the annual report. And we're projecting a few more pledge cards to come in, so to feel really good about what we're going to do for our budget in 2023. And finally, I want to let you know that at the vestry retreat, which is January 6th and 7th at Camp McDowell, so you who just got elected to the vestry, go ahead and put that on your calendar, January 6th and 7th, and then the parish retreat is 7 and 8. Would love for everyone to attend. Don't let money be a hindrance. Anyway, at the vestry retreat, we're going to come up with an immediate need and long-range plan and start addressing some of these building issues that I was talking about and some ways that we can pay for that and follow up with that. So that's just a general report of where we are and where we're going. Let's see, what time do we have? 10:05, so we have a few minutes. Does anyone have any specific questions based on what I said or what they've read in the report that you want to ask about? Sarah? That's a great question. Sarah is wondering if we can get a printed directory, and absolutely, there is a way. I could go upstairs and do it right now in less than 5 minutes, but the problem would be we would have like 10 pictures in the directory. So we need people to put your pictures into Realm. Once we have an adequate number of pictures in Realm, then it will make sense to print a directory. Is that what you're talking about, a pictorial directory? Or just an address? Names and addresses. Yeah, we can do names and addresses. If you would like that, just email the office and we'll get that printed out for you. In terms of a pictorial directory, I would love for that to happen. We could probably do some work to be more intentional about getting your pictures up on Realm, but it could be as easy as you taking a picture today and going on your app and uploading it, and ta-da. And if you need help with that, again, we have members. I can help, Brian can help, Lynn can help. Yeah. Yeah, and we can have a picture day. We've talked about having a picture day as well. But we've come a long way in terms of how we do directories, and we can do all of that in-house. And that is certainly something on our list to do. So if you want a printed directory with just names and addresses, email Karen, and we will turn that around in less than a week. Yes. Oh. That's okay. I would love to see. So, does that help? Okay. Okay, she had suggested that we charge for it. I agree. Maria. Yes. Yeah, that's a great question, Maria. I think a part of, and Jim Busman might be able to help support my answer. She's asking about allocating more resources to our children and youth ministries. That was a part of the findings that we had when the ministry architects did their assessment of where we are as a church. And one of their findings was that we're underfunding our children's ministry, not our youth ministry. We're underfunding our children's ministry. And a part of that was related to the salary that we were giving our children's formation director, which did go up. I think, which meets what their criteria at this point, if I'm not mistaken. So what Amanda is getting paid. I don't know if fairly is the right word. She's being compensated for what she's doing at a level that the ministry architects feel good about. Jim, do you want to, or anyone else on that renovation team want to?
What we're trying to do is look at the attendance so that we can get a good feel of the number that's in both the children's ministry and in the youth ministry, and then bounce that against the reference, I guess, the baseline that ministry architect uses that says, yeah, you should be at a certain level of funding for this level of attendance. And so that's what we're trying to do with that as far as funding. We're looking at goals for increasing the attendance in both those ministries. That's kind of where we are at this point.
Good question. Thank you. Don't be shy. Does anyone have any additional questions about ministry architects? Jim Busman, Mary Elaine Mims, Laura Morgan, Eileen Dawson, and Lars Porter have been a part of that renovation team. They've met monthly with members of our staff, including Aaron, AG, and Amanda, to follow up with a lot of the recommendations made by ministry architects. A lot of their work is sort of behind the scenes. You probably might not be aware of, especially if you're not in the children and youth program. But a lot of it is sort of nitty-gritty work that has to do with how do we account for who's coming and numbers, and based on that, those metrics, are we providing enough resources, et cetera, et cetera. So they're also exploring a youth mission trip for our youth group. They're looking into several other items in terms of goals. And as I said earlier, one of the last things that we'll do with ministry architects is do a strategic staffing plan for the whole congregation. Are you telling me it's time? Okay, thank you. All right. If any other questions bubbled up, please don't hesitate to let me know. Send me an email, make a phone call. Be glad to help. And again, grateful for your presence here this morning. In the 20 minutes we have between now and worship, I hope you go buy some goodies from our bake sale, and go in peace until we see you again in 20 minutes. Thank you. Oh, Sarah. Oh.